Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone. My name is Ade Nurhabibah. My student's number is 192122083 and I'm from class C. In this occasion, I will present my research proposal with the title Teaching English Vocabulary Through Drilling, a case of Indonesian EFL teacher. So, this is the table of content of my presentation. And let's start with the background of the study. Vocabulary is the basis of language teaching and learning, so vocabulary should be mastered by students. In teaching English vocabulary, the teacher must be proficient in using teaching techniques so the students can acquire vocabulary well. Therefore, the teacher plays a very important role in applying this technique because students will repeatedly imitate what the teacher says. Therefore, the study tries to find out how the teacher teach English vocabulary using drilling techniques. And formulation of the problem, how does teacher teach English vocabulary through drilling? And then there are operation repetition, teaching vocabulary, drilling technique, and also EFL teacher. And then the aim of this research is to find out how the teacher teach English vocabulary through drilling techniques. And then the significance of the study, theoretical. It can be contributed as a reference for teaching English vocabulary using drilling techniques. And practical, for English teacher, it can be used by the teacher as a guide in teaching vocabulary using drilling technique. And for the students, it provides students with an understanding of teaching, of technique or ways of learning new vocabulary. And empirical, this research is beneficial for the researcher as a references for the further research. And then let's move to the theoretical framework, teaching vocabulary. Vocabulary is a set of words that an essential factor in learning the language. According to Tanbury, in teaching vocabulary, there were several essential things that teachers should consider in the class. The level of the learners like familiarity with the words and also the difficulty of the item solved. Teaching vocabulary was not something that you can apply in random ways without considering the essential things before you teach. So the teacher should know about their students. And then drilling technique. Only in 2016 said drill means listening to a model or a teacher or tape or another. So students then repeating or responding what is heard. So students listen and repeat. And the drilling technique emphasizes forming students' habit by repeating and memorizing the words. And also there are advantages and disadvantages of drilling technique. According to Rizkina, there are some advantages. There are help students memorize vocabulary by the teacher's control. Teacher can control any mistakes that students make. And also the disadvantages is that students may repeat the words without understanding their meaning. It is also sometimes being monotone and also boring. And then next is study of the relevant research. There were several studies that have been dealing with this research. One of them is the research by Teresa and Hafiz. They had researched the effect of the technique towards students' vocabulary mastery in learning English. The results show that the use of the technique has positive effect towards students' vocabulary mastery in learning English. Based on the relevant research, there are similarities in the goals of each study, where the research focused on how the effect of using the techniques on students in teaching vocabulary. If the previous research focused on students' orientation, the current research is focused on the teachers, how the teachers teach English vocabulary using drilling techniques. And then research procedures method. The researcher used qualitative research with the type of case study. A case study is a general term for examination of a person, group, or phenomenon. And this research focused on how the teacher teach English vocabulary using drilling technique. And then for the setting is S.Pd Sertifikat Tasikmalaya, and for the participant is one English teacher. And then in collecting the data, the researcher used observation and also interview. The researcher used a semi-structured interview because this application process was more flexible than the structured interview. And then in analyzing the data, the researcher used thematic analysis. Thematic analysis is a method of analyzing data with the goal of identifying patterns of discovering themes in data collected by the researchers. And then there are several steps carried out in this research. These are finding a problem, formulate the problem, observing participants, develop research question for participants, conduct interviews with participants, analyze the data obtained, interpret the result of analysis. And the last one is time and place. This research will be conducted in 2023 at M.Pd Sertifikat Tasikmalaya. And this is the references for this research proposal. Maybe that's all from me. Thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.